There have been some years where I think the Academy said, okay, it's now his or her turn to finally win. Hey, it's Michael, aka Oscar Man. And though I have done a video on what I call career Oscars, this one is different and I'll explain why. I define a career Oscar as one given to a veteran who perhaps didn't give their finest performance that year, but either for sentimental or sympathy reasons, won anyway. But there have also been some actors on their third, fourth, sometimes fifth nomination who gave an Oscar worthy performance and it finally became their turn to win. Here's an example. Faye Dunaway gave one of her strongest performances in 1976's Network. As television executive Diana Christensen, Dunaway's over the top persona fit perfectly with the manic tone of the film.
I told him, Lou! I have been telling him every day for a week. I am sick of telling him. Now you tell him!
Already a two-time nominee, Faye Dunaway was expected to win Best Actress on her third try, and it was rightfully her turn for an Oscar win.
The audience out there obviously wants a profit, even a manufactured one, even if he's as mad as Moses. By tomorrow, he'll have a 50 share, maybe even a 60. Howard Beale is processed instant God, and right now, it looks like he may just go over bigger than Mary Tyler Moore.
Network was a critical and commercial success, but Dunaway was not the first choice for the role of Diana. Director Sidney Lumet wanted Vanessa Redgrave, but screenwriter Patty Chayefsky's list included Candice Bergen, Natalie Wood, and Ellen Burstyn. Faye Dunaway appeared in a now famous photo taken by her then husband Terry O'Neill at the hotel after a night without sleep. O'Neill captioned it "The Morning After." Sadly, Network has so far been Dunaway's last Oscar nomination, which I and many others believe was a result of her appearance in this 1981 film.
This ain't my first time at the rodeo. You forget the press I delivered to Pepsi was my power. I can use it any way I want. It's a sword. It cuts both ways.
Do you know the trivia about Network's acting Oscar wins? The answer will be revealed at the end of the video. Faye Dunaway's Oscar-nominated co-star in Chinatown also had his turn at winning an Oscar the following year. On his fifth try, Jack Nicholson won the Best Actor Oscar for 1975's One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, one of his most famous and iconic roles.
Ah, come on. You're not going to say that now. You're not going to say that now. You're going to pull that henhouse shit now. When the vote, the chief just voted, it was 10-9. Now, I want that television set turned on right now!
Nicholson had previously been nominated for Easy Rider, Five Easy Pieces, The Last Detail, and the aforementioned Chinatown. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest seemed to have been written with Jack Nicholson in mind, but it wasn't. Kirk Douglas bought the rights to the book in 1961 and subsequently originated the role of McMurphy on Broadway. His attempts to turn the play into a film were thwarted when no major studio would back it, so he allowed his son Michael to become producer and try to secure financing for a movie. Though that still proved challenging, eventually it came to pass. However, by then, Kirk Douglas was deemed too old for the role, and that didn't exactly make for a great relationship between father and son. The first names mentioned for the role were Marlon Brando, Gene Hackman, and James Caan. Director Milos Forman wanted Burt Reynolds, but Nicholson finally won the part. And despite stiff competition from Al Pacino in Dog Day Afternoon, this was definitely Nicholson's turn to win.
You're just a young kid. What are you doing here? You ought to be out in a convertible, bird dogging chicks and banging beaver. What are you doing here, for Christ's sake? I mean, you guys do nothing but complain about how you can't stand it in this place here, and then you haven't got the guts just to walk out? I mean, what do you think you are, for Christ's sake? Crazy or something?
Unlike Faye Dunaway, Jack Nicholson has earned 7 additional nominations that resulted in 2 more Oscar wins. One of those wins was for 1983's Terms of Endearment, which also brought Nicholson's co-star Shirley MacLaine an Oscar. The film won Best Picture that year and it gave MacLaine her turn at winning Best Actress after 4 previous nominations. She was also nominated as producer for the 1975 documentary The Other Half of the Sky. Adept at both comedy and drama, Shirley MacLaine landed the perfect part that offered her the opportunity to play both in the role of Aurora.
Well, I'm starving. No hidden meaning in that remark.
Well, would you like an oyster?
No. Thank you.
What?
Excuse me. It is after 10. Give my daughter the paint shot, please.
Mrs. Greenway, I was going to.
Oh, good. Go ahead.
Just a few minutes.
Well, please, it's after 10. It's after 10. I don't see why she has to have this pain.
Ma'am, it's not my patient.
It's time for her shot. You understand? Do something. All she has to do is hold out until 10. And it's past 10. She's in pain. My daughter is in pain. Give her the shot. You understand?
You're going to behave.
Give my daughter the shot! Thank you very much. Thank you.
As you may already know from one of my previous videos, Oscar winner Jennifer Jones purchased the rights to the novel and planned on making her screen comeback as the mother. When it became apparent that the ship had sailed on that idea, she sold the rights to Paramount, and MacLaine was ultimately cast. In her autobiography, Shirley MacLaine detailed several incidents about how she and her on-screen daughter Deborah Winger did not get along. Perhaps the tension worked in their respective favors, as the actresses became the 4th pair to receive nominations in the lead actress category. To date, Terms of Endearment remains MacLaine's last Oscar nomination. In the 1965 comedy The Yellow Rolls Royce, Shirley MacLaine co-starred with George C. Scott, who, as we know, became a notorious Oscar winner. Beginning with 1959's Anatomy of a Murder, Scott earned his first nomination for Best Supporting Actor, which he apparently had no problem accepting. However, his second nomination for 1961's The Hustler was refused, with Scott citing his distaste for competing with other actors for a prize. Jump to 1970's Best Picture winner Patton, where Scott played the title role, which was turned down by the likes of Oscar winners Burt Lancaster, John Wayne, Lee Marvin, and Rod Steiger. Patton ended up with 10 Oscar nominations, including one for George C. Scott, who wrote a letter to the Academy informing them that he was declining the nomination. The Academy chose not to honor Scott's request and kept him on the ballot.
Now, there's one thing that you men will be able to say when you get back home. And you may thank God for it. 30 years from now, when you're sitting around your fireside with your grandson on your knee, and he asks you, what did you do in the Great World War II? You won't have to say, well, I shoveled shit in Louisiana.
On Oscar night, Patton won 7 statues, but it was the lead actor category that drew the most attention when presenter Goldie Hawn announced the winner.
Oh my God. The winner is George C. Scott.
Whether he liked it or not, it was Scott's turn to become an Oscar winner for his iconic performance.
Send him up to the front. You hear me? You goddamn coward! Won't have cowards in my army.
If one doesn't like the idea of competing against a peer, fine, don't show up to the ceremony. But interestingly, Scott allegedly did not refuse his 8 Emmy or 5 Tony Award nominations. There are conflicting reports as to whether or not he accepted his 1972 Emmy for the price, but the statue was auctioned off for $10,000 in 2016. In the original Broadway production of Neil Simon's Plaza Suite, George C. Scott co-starred with Maureen Stapleton, who received a Tony nomination for her performance. Stapleton repeated the role for the film version the year after she received her second Oscar nomination for 1970's Airport. Maureen Stapleton achieved success on Broadway, television, and film, earning an Oscar nomination for her debut in 1958's Lonely Hearts, as well as 2 Tony Awards and an Emmy. It became her turn to win the Triple Crown of Acting with 1981's Reds, when she won the Oscar as Best Supporting Actress for her performance as Emma Goldman.
Every single newspaper's been shut down or taken over by the party. Anyone even vaguely suspected of being a counter-revolutionary can be taken out and shot without a trial. Where does that end? Is any nightmare justifiable in the name of defense against counter-revolution? The dream may be dying in Russia, but I'm not. It may take some time. I'm getting out.
During the shooting of Reds, Stapleton received applause from the crew after director Warren Beatty reportedly asked her to do another take for a scene she already performed 80 times and told him, quote, "Are you out of your effing mind?" Maureen Stapleton is one of my all-time favorite actresses, who I feel was incapable of giving a bad performance. When her 4th Oscar nomination came around, it was definitely her turn to run up to the Oscar stage, which is exactly what she did that night. A few more actors whom I believe rightfully earned their turn at winning an Oscar include Vanessa Redgrave, a 6-time nominee awarded on her 4th try for playing the title role in 1977's Julia, Ruth Gordon on her 2nd acting nomination and her 5th overall, including those for writing, as Best Supporting Actress in 1968's Rosemary's Baby, and even though it was their first and only Oscar nominations, screen veterans James Dunn and Burl Ives for their supporting roles in 1945's A Tree Grows in Brooklyn and The Big Country, respectively. There are a pair of actors who received multiple Oscar nominations before each claimed their turn at a win, plus a trivia question that needs answering. But before I discuss them, I want to express my appreciation to you for watching this video. I know your time is valuable, and I also know this Oscar stuff isn't for all tastes. We Oscar nerds are a rare breed, and it has been gratifying to find so many like me that are out there. After the video concludes with a candid remark by an Oscar winner, I ask that you please click on the like button, as it helps attract some more viewers. And if you're not yet a subscriber, consider joining our community of really knowledgeable and expressive film aficionados who inspire me to create these videos. In addition to weekly Oscar content, there are daily polls that need your votes. Gregory Peck and Susan Hayward made 2 films together, 1951's David and Bathsheba and 1952's The Snows of Kilimanjaro. Each achieved success in the 1950s, primarily Hayward, who racked up 3 of her 5 Best Actress nominations during this decade. Though she began her film career in the 1930s, including auditioning for the role of Scarlett O'Hara, Susan Hayward became a star in the 1940s, earning nominations for 1947's smash-up The Story of a Woman and 1949's My Foolish Heart. Hayward's trajectory continued into the 1950s, receiving a 3rd nomination for With a Song in My Heart, and then giving 2 of the best performances of her career. The first was in 1955's I'll Cry Tomorrow, for which I thought she deserved the Oscar. And the second was 1958's I Want to Live, where she finally earned her turn on the Oscar stage.
I'd advise you to wear the nightgown we've provided you. Well?
Okay. Okay, I'll take it off. But I won't wear your burlap job. I'll sleep raw.
Well? Cover yourself.
In this true-life story of convicted murderer Barbara Graham, Susan Hayward went full throttle in her portrayal of a woman who maintained her innocence right up to the moment where she was sentenced to death in the gas chamber.
Barbara, I'm very sorry. Goodbye, and God bless you.
I want a mask.
A mask?
I don't want to look at people. I don't want to see them staring at me.
I have one. My sleep mask.
I Want to Live was considered daring at the time for its depiction of capital punishment, and Hayward received the best reviews of her career. Come Oscar time, Hayward found herself in competition with 4 other strong performances. Now, I do not look upon her win as either a career Oscar nor consolation for her 4 prior losses. Susan Hayward deserved to win. It was rightfully her turn. Unfortunately, I Want to Live ended up being her last good film, which she followed up with some real dreck, including Where Love Has Gone and Valley of the Dolls, before her death from cancer in 1975. Gregory Peck's first film was 1944's Days of Glory, followed by his first Oscar nomination for The Keys to the Kingdom. The decade also brought the handsome leading man Best Actor nominations for The Yearling, Gentleman's Agreement, and 12 O'Clock High. Gregory Peck worked steadily in the 1950s, but had to wait until the next decade to receive his 5th nomination for To Kill a Mockingbird. As Atticus Finch, Peck found himself at the top of his game, earning raves for his portrayal of the gentle, compassionate attorney, a character many felt was not unlike the actor himself.
But he said that sooner or later he supposed the temptation to go after birds would be too much. And that I could shoot all of the blue jays I wanted, if I could hit them. But to remember, it was a sin to kill a mockingbird.
The part of Atticus was originally offered to Spencer Tracy and James Stewart, both of whom turned the part down. Rock Hudson was Universal's first choice, but director Alan J. Bakula chose Gregory Peck, who coveted the role in the novel from which the film was adapted, and received widespread acclaim for his performance, including his 6.5-minute summation speech, which Peck reportedly nailed in one take.
I am confident that you gentlemen will review, without passion, the evidence that you have heard, come to a decision, and restore this man to his family. In the name of God, do your duty.
Though it now may seem like Peck's Oscar win was a no-brainer, the actor wasn't so confident of the outcome, as he faced competition from Jack Lemmon in Days of Wine and Roses and Peter O'Toole, the star of that year's Best Picture winner, Lawrence of Arabia. When presenter Sophia Loren announced Peck as the winner, the 6'3" actor humbly accepted the honor, which turned out to be his final Oscar nomination. Gregory Peck received the Jean Hersholt Humanitarian Award in 1968 and served as the Academy's president from 1967 until 1970. During his tenure, Peck made impact on the future ceremonies as well as a decision that might have influenced a moment in Oscar history. Following years where nominees were not showing up to the awards, Peck implored the 1967 nominees to attend, and 18 out of the 20 contenders complied. The only 2 who didn't were Spencer Tracy, who had passed away, and perennial no-show Katharine Hepburn. Also, in 1967, Gregory Peck made a controversial decision to allow Barbra Streisand to join the Academy even though she had no film credits, which some felt influenced a shocking win 2 years later. As an actor, Gregory Peck continued working in the 1970s, 80s, and early 90s before he passed away in 2003 at the age of 87. And now, here's the answer to the trivia question about the 3 acting Oscar wins for 1976's Network. It is to date the only film to win in the Best Actor, Actress, and Supporting Actress categories. Now it's your turn to share other performances where you think it was the actor's turn to win the Oscar without it being a career or consolation prize. I'm looking forward to your choices. And until the next video, here is a rather modest Oscar acceptance speech moment.
God bless that potential that we all have for making anything possible if we think we deserve it. I deserve this. Thank you.